After you finished warming up, whether you did the lower body mobility warm-up or your own warm-up, now we're gonna do a stretching routine that I like to do. This routine is just lower body, so if you want to incorporate other things for your arms, your lats, shoulders, anything like that, you can add them to this if you like. Truth is, I hate editing, so instead of having a nice little edited timer here, I'm just gonna have a clock in the background. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know? So the first position we're gonna start at is one knee on the ground, one leg in front, and you can choose how far you reach out with this leg, depending on your comfort level. Now here we could do a couch stretch, which you would need a wall, and you would either push your butt to your foot or stand up as tall as you can. And depending on your level, you can adjust your front foot. You can also try pushing your hips forward from this position, but I'm not a super big fan of this. In some ways it feels easier, but I want a little bit more control. You can put your hand on the ground for balance. We want to reach back, whether you use this hand or crisscross in this hand, it doesn't really matter. I'll just do this hand so it's a little bit more visible. Okay, I'm going to pull my heel to my butt as much as I can, and I'm going to have my back nice and straight. And if you don't feel a stretch, we're going to push this hip forward while pulling this up. If you need a little bit more of a stretch, you can scooch this foot forward a little bit more and do the same thing. Okay, heel to the butt, hips push forward. You can do it for 15 or 20 seconds. We're going to do 20 seconds with a 10-second cool down. We're just going to do it twice for each leg. There we go. Cool. We're staying in this position. We're going to straighten this leg out and have our toes up. So we're going to do two things. We're going to get our body to our leg to stretch our hamstring. We're also going to try to pull the toes back to stretch our calf muscle here. All right, same thing, 20 seconds, 2 sets. There we go. Set 2, here we go. All right, next we're going to just slide that leg out a little bit more and do the same thing. Relax, we have one more. All right, so next we're going to do a lizard stretch, which is about in the same position, but we're going to bend our front leg. So kind of in a wider stance, we're going to have both hands on the inside of my leg here. And the goal is going to be to try to get my elbows to the ground. If you can't get them quite down, we can reach out a little bit further off to the side. And as you get better, you can start coming in closer to that leg. If you want more of a challenge, the hand that's closest to the leg, we can reach behind and under through to the other side and try to do the same thing by getting the elbow to the ground. That stretch is going to be much deeper up the hamstring close to the glutes. So 20 seconds, 2 sets, here we go. Nice. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and slide that foot a little bit more on the inside and go ahead and collapse it down. We're going to do a pigeon stretch. This is meant to stretch out the hips or the glutes on this side. So if you're having a hard time with it, having a more sharp angle like this is easier. Having it more like a 90-degree angle in front of you is much more difficult. We want to push ourselves up and over the leg. So this back leg should be straight, almost like you're doing a front split position with the back leg. Okay, we want to sit this hip down and get our chest down to our leg. 20 seconds. Here we go. I'm really trying to push my hip out to the side as I'm stretching it. And relax. And set 2. And relax. So next we're going to go ahead and just slide out to the front split as much as we can. One point to keep in mind is that when we do the front splits, typically our hips start to turn like this. A little bit of a turn is okay. If you keep them squared, it's much harder to go down. If you want to play around with that variation, feel free to do so. Today I'm going to be somewhere in the middle with my hip bone a little bit out in front and this one towards the back. The back leg, you can have the toes to the side or down. I don't feel too much of a difference whichever one I do. Today I'll just keep it down. We're going to do somewhat of an abbreviated PNF contract to relax method. So for 20 seconds, as I'm in my front split, I'm going to try to squeeze the muscles that are being stretched out. So for 20 seconds, I'll squeeze. 10 seconds, I'm going to slide out during my cool down time. We're just going to do it twice. I'm going to keep one hand on either side of my body to keep myself a bit squared. If I have them both on the same side, it's a lot easier to overturn my hips. Here we go. Slide out as far as I can. And squeeze. So I'm trying to drive my heel down and also pull it into me. It's not going to move, but that's what I'm trying to do. And relax and stretch out. And time. Since we know the routine now, we're going to go without stopping throughout the whole thing. So let's do the other leg. Starting with that quad stretch. 20 seconds on the clock, and let's go. Time, relax. And set 2, begin. Okay, push your hips forward. Really feel that stretch. Heel up to the butt. Time. All right, we're going to straighten out that front leg. And toes up. And here we go. Time. And set 2. And relax. Okay, we're going to just reach out a little bit farther with that front leg. Same thing. Down. Time. Set 2, here we go. And down. All right, we're gonna go into that lizard stretch next. So prop that leg up, nice and wide, hands on the inside, and elbows to the ground. Remember, if you want to challenge, we can slide that hand to the other side of the foot and try. Relax. And here we go. All right. Okay, go ahead and drop into that pigeon stretch. Ready? Here we go. Relax. Pigeons and doves are the same species of bird? That can't be right. Anyways, remember to push the hip out as we're going down. And relax. All right, remember we're doing our 20-second squeeze. Oh boy. And slide out. Squeeze. And stretch out. 5 seconds. Time. So now we get to the tricky part, which is all things pertaining to the middle split. I call it middle split. Some people call it front split. I guess because you're facing the front. I don't know. But this is where we start to see a little bit more specific issues that people have with different parts of the stretch. Some people might have that pain on the inner knee. Some people might feel it in the hips. Some will feel it in the hip flexors or adductors. So I'm just gonna do it a little bit more on the general side today. If you have more specific issues and questions, you can leave them in the comments and I will try to address them. There's no way really around it. They all kind of hurt, so let's just get to it. So we're gonna start out with trying to do like a knee splits, going as far as you can with just the knees. So now we're gonna reach forward and drop to our forearms, and we're going to kick our feet out past our knees. So if I have a line right here where my knee is, I want to put my foot a little bit past that line or right on the line if you can't go that far yet. Same thing on the other side. So now this is pretty uncomfortable. Some people like to do frog rockers here, which is pretty much just moving back and forth in this position. I don't feel comfortable doing that on the internet, so you can do that on your own time. But I digress. So we're gonna do a PNF contract relax style stretch for this. So for 15 seconds, I'm going to try to squeeze and contract all the muscles that are currently feeling stretched. And for 15 seconds, I'm going to try to relax and go down even further in my frog stretch. So when we contract, frog position is a little tricky. I'm going to try to do 3 things at the same time. I'm going to try to squeeze my knees together. I'm going to try to push my feet into the ground. And I'm also going to try to push myself backwards using my arms. So for 15 seconds, push back, squeeze the knees, and drive the feet into the ground. And for 15 seconds, relax. We're gonna do this for 2 minutes, so that's gonna be 4 cycles. All right, ready and squeeze. And relax. Squeeze. And relax. Squeeze. Relax. Almost done. Last one coming up. Squeeze. And relax. I'm going to drop and push back. And time. Well, that sucked. So the last one that we are going to do is the straddle. This one you want to be a little bit careful with and listen to your body. If there's ever any really sharp pain, you don't want to just truck through it because that could lead to an injury. For example, we're going to start from a standing position and slide down into our straddle as much as we can. A lot of people start feeling an inner knee pain here. If that's the case, we kind of want to maybe try something else. For some people, just turning the heels up can help, but not everyone. You might have to just drop down and sit down. And instead of doing the 15-second interval, I would suggest maybe doing a 30-second interval where we're just reaching forward as far as you can, rolling the hips forward and stretching out the adductor muscles and a little bit of the hip flexors. Now, some people have an issue reaching forward or rolling the hips forward. I had one friend who would hold onto a piece of furniture and pull himself forward. I had one guy throw a belt around, something like a pole or like a bob, something with a stand, pull himself forward. Partner stretch, someone pushing you behind. And if you don't want to do that, we do have a wall splits option that I will show after we finish this last exercise. But if you still have knee pain on the inside here, you have one or two options. It's not really easy to strengthen this ligament because ligaments don't have as much blood flow as something like a muscle does, so the recovery time is a little bit slower. With continuous training and exposure to this type of stressor, it could over time gradually get stronger. Or you can try to loosen up this muscle a little bit more. Sorry, but maybe doing that frog stretch again instead of just going into a seated split might be more beneficial at this time. But anyways, the last exercise we're going to be in our straddle, and be careful not to lean too far forward or too far back. We want to be in line, which means our foot, hip, and other foot are in the straight line. So from the side position, you can see too far back, too far forward. We want to be somewhere right in the middle. So similar to the frog stretch, I want to contract the muscles that are being stretched. So I'll try a few different things here. I'll try to squeeze my feet together. I think about pressing my feet down into the ground. So try feeling it around, and whatever muscle you feel like is feeling stretched out, you want to try to contract those muscles. It just occurred to me that you don't really need to see this timer since I'm kind of calling it out anyways, but whatever. All right, same thing, 2-minute set, 4 cycles. Let's go. Squeeze. Relax, you want to drop and sink lower. And squeeze. If you can stay in line, you don't have to keep your feet bladed on the ground like this. You can turn them up. And relax. I just find it easier to stay in line doing this for some reason, so that's just my preference. Squeeze. That hurts like crazy. And relax. And squeeze. And relax. And time. So if you don't like any of that, let me show you the wall stretch. So the wall stretch is nice. I used to do it all the time, but I don't really like it because it takes a long time. There's also a good adductor strengthening exercise that you can do from this. So number one, the biggest error that I usually see is that people will kind of slide away from this wall. So we want to start nice and as pressed against the wall as we can. So come in sideways, push your butt against the wall, and then I'm gonna roll from here. Now, I might be too high up. Right now, my back is not flat against the ground, which is fine because it's easy to shimmy away and just get it flat rather than being too far away and trying to scoot forward. From here, I'm just gonna let my legs drop as far as they go. If you need to assist them going down, just wiggling them down kind of helps for me. And then you just kind of lie here and do nothing, just let gravity do its thing. Now, if you're impatient like me, what you can do is you can put ankle weights on your legs, and that'll kind of speed up the process. So the exercise that you can do to strengthen the adductor muscles, we're going to squeeze our legs together slowly and all the way back down again. It's definitely a lot tougher with the ankle weight, so I recommend that. So doing something like 10 squeezes, I think is good. And on the last one, just let it drop and hang for however much time you have. Could be 1 minute, could be 5 minutes, but doing that is very time consuming. That's why I'm not a super big fan of it, because I'm very limited on my time. But it's another good option if you are not having as much success with the other stretches that we did earlier. Keep in mind, this is just one routine. And to be honest, I don't do all of these stretches every time I stretch. So feel free to pick and choose the ones that work for you and the ones that you like. But if you found them to be too difficult or too advanced, remember there are many other options and stretches that you can do that might be a better fit. If you have any specific issues, leave them in the comments and I'll see what I can do about that. But keep in mind, there is a difference between passive flexibility or just being able to get your legs to stretch out a certain length and usable ranges of motion, which I like to call mobility. I know some people have different definitions of those terms. But we don't want to just be able to swing our leg up. We want to be able to hold, control, and also drive power through our kicks, especially the high ones. So be on the lookout for that and subscribe to follow along.